Computer. Oh, wow. We are live. What's up, folks? Corey Wilson, Live Frederick, Sell Frederick Realty Group with Keller Williams Realty. I've got Brian Lanning of Shore United Bank. I've got Chris Sparks of Surelocked In Escape Games. First and foremost, thanks to Brian Lanning down here at the bottom of the screen for, maybe you're at the bottom, you're at my bottom, Brian. You might be at the top. I'm not sure on your end, but thanks to you for sponsoring these videos and helping us, relate more to these businesses here in Frederick. We appreciate you and your support and happy to have you here. But for the main event, we got Chris Sparks of Surelocked In. Chris, what's up, dude? I got to say real quick, that was one of the best videos I've ever seen. We should have Jacob and Tony on here as well, because their video game is super strong. But welcome, Chris. Who are you? What do you do? Let's hear it.
Sure thing. Hi, everybody. My name is Chris Sparks, and I'm the owner and game overlord of Surelocked In Escape Games in downtown Frederick. If you've passed by Patrick and Market Streets and seen that old brick building, we are inside, and we've been entertaining people for the last 6.5 years.
Chris, where are you from?
I'm a Frederick boy. I grew up here. I remember the days, as we were talking about just before the call started, I remember the days when this was all farmland, and that you would come downtown and it was a restaurant here, a restaurant there. And it has been incredible to grow with this city, and to watch this city grow and change and take it from a town to the place to be in Maryland.
Yeah. So it's funny you mentioned like kind of growing, because I've known you for a few years now, but just seeing how you've grown with the community and how you continue to be involved in the community is certainly something cool to watch. But how did you get into, you own Surelocked In Escape Games. It is the best escape games in downtown Frederick because of your creativity. But how did you get involved in escape games? How did you say, you know what, I'm going for it. I'm going to open up my own business and we're here?
It's a two-parter. And the first part is a lifetime of playing games with my brothers and my parents and my friends, and really anybody who would play a card game or a board game or a video game with me all throughout childhood. And the fateful turn of events was going on a family vacation to Denver in 2016. We were looking for something to do on the last day we were in town. It was a rainy day. We'd already seen the Rockies. We'd already eaten our fill, and we were looking for something different. And we stumbled upon an escape room. It was called the Dorm of the Dead.
The Dorm of the Dead. Nice.
We lost. The world was at stake. The zombies were coming, and the Sparks family failed to stop the apocalypse. And I was hooked. We had never had that much fun at a single activity ever. And I went away from that just thinking, these are really neat. And I came back home, played a few more in the East Coast area, got my butt kicked. But finally I was like, I understand these. I understand the behind the curtain, and we could do this. My family has a theater background, a carpentry background. We have the ability to create these things. So what better place to tell these stories and give it a shot than the hometown? And we opened on North Market Street back in 2016. And we have been going nuts ever since. We've won the Best of Frederick Award for entertainment value ever since we opened, year after year. We've had tens of thousands of players come through, and every single day is a delight. And I don't just mean that in some sort of, if elected Miss America, I will do this. Every day you see these people have these genius moments in the room, and you see the magic come to life, and it is remarkable.
Yeah, I think I have a new life goal, and I want to do an escape room with you. I think doing it at your place would be like semi-cheating, so maybe it's like a neutral territory. I don't know. But I want to experience this. I might not contribute. I just want to watch you just kind of rip through a room and go for it. You mentioned some awards that were local, but you also, before the call, mentioned you won an international award.
Yes, we had some great news at the end of 2021. We had Escape the Rumors, which are one of the review standards of the escape room industry, come through Frederick. And they played us, they played some others. And I was the recipient of the 2021 International People's Choice Award for Game Master. And for people that don't know what Game Master is, a Game Master is the person who runs your room and makes sure that your story gets told. What we do that's different is we do it completely in character. All those years of theater at Urbana High School come to bear, and we take you on the story the moment you step into the room. And the reviewers thought that was the most incredible and unique thing. And the international community agreed. I was first place. Another gentleman from the United States took silver, and a gentleman from Brazil took bronze.
Wild.
And it was such a humbling experience to see the work that we had done so internationally rewarded.
Right here in Frederick too, little old Frederick. Not
Little
DC, not Baltimore.
Big old Frederick now. Big old Frederick now.
What's up? Who wants some? Huh? That's awesome. That's
Thank
cool.
you very much. I appreciate that.
That's cool. Brian, do you have any questions?
Yeah. So you said, theater is your background. Did you do that in college? Was that your major?
No, for me, I was very involved in theater locally, Urbana High School graduate, as I alluded to before. Went off to Carnegie Mellon University with the intention to learn more about theater, but ended up falling into the humanities and social sciences. What I found out is I went to college with this idea of what I wanted. When I got there, what it turned into was that the puzzle I wanted to solve was what makes people tick. Like what makes us do the things that we do? Is it our nationality? Is it our sexuality? Is it our religion? Is it what is it? What's that factor that determines human behavior? And little did I know it at the time, but every class that I'm taking, when I thought that I was learning about history and nation states and game theory, I was really learning about how to design puzzles that bring out the best in people. And it's so wild to look back on those earlier chapters and realize the climax it was building to.
Connecting those dots.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of like an outside look on the inside of a person, and then putting it into a game and game theory that's all behind how do people, want and need things. I think that's a pretty cool perspective behind it.
Yeah, thank you.
Chris, how was, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I will keep talking for days about all this because this is what I love to do. So please, what's your next question? Let's go.
Well, obviously COVID has had a really big impact on every single person in this world, and especially when you really get down to the local aspect of it all. How do you, as a, one, how different has it been? Two, what did you do to pivot and shift to continue succeeding at your level? Because it's not like, especially during that time, it wasn't like people were supporting other people and businesses by getting gift cards, right? Or, we were getting takeout, we were supporting business like that. It was very hard to go to something like a game room, but you were able to kind of pivot, you and even get involved at the local level with, maybe outdoor activities and outdoor hunts and stuff like that, scavengers. So how did you pivot to continue making it work for you?
So you talk about just hitting a brick wall, right? So it was about St. Patrick's Day, give or take, in 2020 when the governor shut down our venue in entertainment venues across the state. And it went from, we're going full speed ahead, making record numbers of ticket sales, and all of a sudden, bam, stop. During the first few months of the pandemic, the big pivot was just working with local community partners. One of the things that makes Frederick so unique is that it is a collection of other small business owners that also care. A big shout out to the family that runs the Curious Iguana and Dancing Bear. Our first way of coping with the pandemic, they sold escape rooms in a box. It's one of the toys and board games that they sell. We sell real escape room experiences. And together we said, buy a boxed escape room now, play a real escape room later. And we were able to continue to sell and move gift cards just to keep the staff paid, keep things going, keep the lights on.
Yeah.
But the real pivot came in the fall. So we had been doing massive events previously. We did One Vast Adventure in 2019, which for those that hadn't heard about it, we turned the entirety of historic downtown Frederick into one massive escape room. It had 30 businesses involved. It had 40 actors and actresses in costume, a show at the Weinberg that we wrote, and it was a 440 person event. You can't do that when there's a deadly pandemic.
Right.
So what happened is we pivoted to scavenger hunts. Specifically, when we found out that the Great Frederick Fair couldn't continue in 2020, we partnered with Celebrate Frederick to create a scavenger hunt that would get families out of their homes and safely exploring the city and the county. So the Great Frederick Scavenger Hunt had 500 to 600 people, and they went at their own pace. It was a week-long game, and it sent you out into the city to explore not just downtown, but all the neighborhoods, so that you could go out and just have an adventure in a year that was so filled with fear and confusion and us being all trapped in our homes. It was an escape of a different kind. And since then, the scavenger hunts haven't stopped. We have bachelor parties, bachelorette parties, engagements, birthday parties, corporate events. They all want a piece of the pie. And we've even started to pivot now into creating scavenger hunt books that we designed for companies to teach them how to gamify their learning. We have an event coming up with Hood College that'll be massive to teach students about downtown Frederick. It's been gaming of a different kind, but it is so much fun.
And it's so cool and unique that, I think that was one interesting thing about COVID is it forced us to look for business or as small businesses and to find it and explore different areas that we weren't comfortable with or that we didn't know. But when that happens, it's like you realize this is another pillar of the business. You can do these things. I mean, if it wasn't for that, perhaps this never would have been, born.
Right.
So that's a very interesting thing that you were able to do and pivot and shift. And that's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. And kind of going back to, you mentioned like what your studies were at Carnegie Mellon, which is, I think that's a top school. That's a great school. Well done. Salisbury. Hello. I'll just sit in the back. Was cool though.
Yeah, I'm William and Mary, so I got you there too.
Oh God. I mean, seriously.
Chris and
oh wow. Chris and I now. I'm the guy in the back. Yeah. I'll just go ahead and get off.
We got to throw it out there. I mean,
great work, Brian. So. Yeah, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. But you said what your studies were, and you can see how a lot of that does, one, transcend to your business, but two, you were doing something last year that really was outside of your business. You were getting involved in the community. You're looking to make a massive impact here, and you were running for alderman.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but if you want to ask a question, go for it. If not, I'll just start talking.
No, start talking, because that's interesting, right? Because I mean, the reason I bring that up is because you have such a love for this place, and I've only known you for 3 years, and I feel like our relationship continues to grow every time we see each other and talk to each other, and I can feel it, I can sense it, and I can see it. It's just how much passion and love you have for the community here in Frederick. So it's exciting to see you taking, not only what you do on a day-to-day basis, but what you've learned in the past, and really bring it all together and figure out how we can make this place where we live an even better place. So it's super exciting to see you continue that journey.
Well, first of all, thank you for those kind words. I also feel like every time I run into either of you, it's like, oh, hey, I've known you forever. It's like, no, I've actually known you for a short amount of time, but the relationship grows because the passion is there.
Mm-hmm.
And the alderman run was something else that came out of the COVID pandemic, because when you break down an escape room, and we design them all in-house, so I'm building out these stories, you start to see like, oh, hey, this is a puzzle and this is a solution. And then once you get the solution, you get the reward and you unlock the next puzzle, and it keeps on going and going. So the idea is, looking quickly to find patterns to make sure that when you see those patterns, you understand what solution they're going to, because in the game itself, you only have those 60 minutes and the clock is always ticking.
Yeah.
So we all were in March, April, May. All the episodes of Tiger King are gone by this point.
I know, we're so sad.
We've played enough Among Us. We're
what now? Yeah.
What I started to see was, and this isn't a character judgment of anybody involved, but I started to see that none of the organizations that I really respected coming into the pandemic had a handle on how to respond to this.
Mm-hmm.
There were some that stepped up heroically and started supporting the elderly, started supporting local businesses, and there were others that truly didn't know what to do. And I don't blame them; they just were dealing with a historic event.
Mm-hmm.
And what I began to see was, if I took the patterns at the city level, coming out of City Hall, and tried to understand what puzzles they were solving for, they weren't.
Yeah.
And I'm a big believer that it's all fine to critique things. It's all fine to have opinions, and we should have them. And if you want to be a part of the solution, you step up. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to give it a shot. I wanted to step up and run for alderman. I didn't end up winning the election. The Democratic primary was hotly contested. And during a year where we're all still figuring out mail-in ballots and in-person voting, the turnout was abysmal for Frederick City.
Yeah.
What I learned from the whole thing, though, is the passion that we share here on this call for the city isn't exclusive to this call. I met so many people who care so much about this city's future. And I firmly believe that this city will look completely different in 10 years for the better.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many good things we have going for us that we can't fake, and so many additional things that we are going to learn to love.
Yeah.
Just like we learned to love the creek, just like we learned to love big tech and breweries and distilleries.
It's true. It's true.
It's happening. And we can't stop the change. It's coming.
Yep. And I didn't mean to go down that. I just wanted to commend you.
No.
I think what you do is phenomenal. And, the way your brain works, after knowing you for these years, it's really cool to see. But you did say something that I really want to pick up on. One of my questions was, so all of your, everything, all the games that are created at Surelocked, you come up with them.
Yes.
And actually had a question about that.
Is that normal?
It's
for escape room?
It's hit or miss in the industry. You'll know when you go to escape rooms. There are some escape rooms, even in our region, in our town, who bought their games, and you can tell because the games don't have that same feel. There are others that design their own rooms, and you can tell because they're custom and unique, and you see the cleverness and creativity of the owners come in.
Yeah.
Our strength at Surelocked In has always been our own games. It's been the secret to our success, and it's the reason why people love us as much as they do, because they know that when they're coming, they're getting a genuine, unique Surelocked In original.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of fun.
Brian, you're about to say something?
Yeah. So obviously, if you're a writer, you design, musician, anyone that writes a book or composes music or anything, at some point in time, you have to be creative, right?
Yes.
But it's not really like a forced thing. It's like people go to their jobs doing 9 to 5, where yours is more abstract. Where do you find the time to write, or like box yourself in a room to write, or is it just something that comes in the middle of the night? You're writing at 2:00 in the morning. What's your process behind it all?
The big process is, number one, don't create in a vacuum. Yeah, I can have ideas that come to me on my own, but I get so much more enjoyment out of designing the things with other people. So I love like talking to my family, talking to my friends, talking to my staff, and just, you always start for escape rooms with the same question of, what is the story that we want to tell? And then from there, it's okay. So that's the story world. We're on a pirate ship. We're, in a castle in Camelot. But what is the mission? Like, what are you trying to do in those 60 minutes? And as you start asking those questions and you start that world building, you get down into the puzzle creation of, okay, well, if you were in a haunted house being chased by an evil witch's ghost, what would you see? What would you hear? What would you smell? Like, what would you be able to hold and touch? And out of that comes the room. So in terms of a creative process, I go where the fun is, because the whole thing is supposed to be fun. And sure, there's stress, and sure, there are times when you're up against deadlines, but in the heart of it, telling stories is what makes us who we are. It's what makes it fun. And when you are surrounded by people that are having fun in the building, players will have fun in the playing. And I hope that answered your question.
Yeah. Organic.
Cool.
I thought it'd be organic how it comes about. There's not like I'm on a deadline, I need to create a new game type of situation. It comes naturally.
Yeah, to that, Chris, do you have time frames for the ones that you create? Or like, hey, I'm going to run this one for 6 months and then I'm going to replace it. Like, how does that work too?
For the rooms will keep going until people stop buying tickets for that particular adventure.
Okay.
A great example of this is we have a Christmas room. And the first year we had the Christmas room, we shut it down in January because, the holiday season ended.
Mm-hmm.
The next year, we kept it standing because we were in the middle of a transition and moving to a new building. So we just kept that room up. And people were still booking Christmas through St. Patrick's Day. So what it really comes down to is, when people stop wanting to play that game, we'll switch it out for a new one, or we'll bring back a crowd favorite. The deadlines come into play for special events. We do events all through the city. We do events at bars, like where we take a escape room in a box and we show up at the bar and you open this briefcase and you become an investigator, figuring out what's going on. An escape room you play at your table. For those sort of events, it's a much faster turnaround because you're meeting a certain date and a certain deadline. Same thing with the scavenger hunts.
Yeah, that's cool. What's the most popular escape game right now with you?
So pre-pandemic, it was the pirate ship one.
Okay.
Ship Out of Luck, where you define the pirate's treasure. Now, after the pandemic, people want a challenge. And the game The Witching Hour, which is our haunted house room, is one of the hardest ones in the state of Maryland. It has a 4% success rate. And we tell people this on the website when they book, and they want the challenge. That room is absurdly popular, which is wild because unlike a normal escape room, The Witching Hour is entirely in the dark. And each person who plays has a handheld candle. It's wild. Like, it's not a haunted forest or anything. You don't have an axe-wielding maniac jumping out at you. But what you have is this eerie setting where you find that your fears interfere with your ability to problem solve. And that's why the room is as hard as it is.
Brian, I feel like you'd be great at escape games, man. You've got that mathematical brain just wiring off.
I've done one. It was in California. It was in, I think, San Diego.
Nice.
I think it was San Diego, and it was so long ago. I can't remember when it was, but I remember it being fairly challenging, so fairly easy. But I was like, I can understand the mystique behind it for the harder ones. Like, I want to do the 4% one just because
I'm
a competitor. I want to see if I can be part of that. I don't want to do one where I can just, okay, figured it out real quick, done. Blah. I want a challenge, you know?
Well, and the wild thing about what you just said, Brian, is one of the big duels in the industry right now, if you will, is a difference in opinion between the point of the room is to solve it and the point of the room is to win it. And it's very different. We find that, like, my guess is, without having played the room that you're talking about in California, if a room is really easy, that's usually because the designers want you to feel good for solving it. So they make it so that everybody's going to solve it.
Not
every
Chris.
time.
Not Chris.
No, well,
Bam.
our philosophy is, look, you're paying us for an hour's worth of entertainment. If you win, phenomenal. But if you lose, you paid for an hour's worth of entertainment, and that's how you got your full hour. My golden rule in general for escape rooms is you should never pay more dollars for the ticket than minutes you spent in the room. So if your ticket to play was $30, $32, $35, you should be in the room for 30, 32, or 35 minutes at the minimum. If you're playing a game and you're out like that, that's not a good room.
Mm-hmm. I want to do this night one. Brian, we're gonna have to sign up in April.
Let's go, people.
We'll get Drew, Eric, and
Let's do
Melanie. We'll do it. We'll do it for sure. Now, I'm imagining this is teamwork too, right? Because I mean, sometimes and I'm sure you see it too, is like one person just takes over, right? Is that like the death of an escape room, is when one person just takes charge, or is it like delegation and like true teamwork that helps you succeed to get out of a room like this?
So that is a fantastic question for so many reasons, and I could talk for days about it, but to make it short and sweet, I would take a group of kindergartners over most C-suites of any random business, because what we find in the rooms when we have the corporate events, you can tell how the team dynamic works instantly, because in most companies, the group that's in the room with the boss, you have 6 adults just standing there waiting for direction, and a boss going around the room and touching things.
Yeah.
And the boss will say, hey, why don't you check out that box? Why don't you check out that secret compartment? And then people will go and engage, but they wait to be told. Whereas with kids, that imagination runs unchecked and they have no fear of being wrong. So for kids, they'll run into a room and like knock out our hardest puzzles because they'll just try things. They're okay with making mistakes, because when they make those mistakes, they learn what they did wrong. And I love kid groups because the kid groups teach us about our puzzles in ways we didn't even intend.
I love that. I have an idea for your next escape room.
Oh,
and it's this housing market. So
yeah, I'm trying to
get the rates down,
I'm trying to escape from the rental situation. Fortunately, I know some good realtors and lenders in town, so that's always fun.
Wait, our powers combined. We'll figure it out.
Oh, the power.
I love it. Well, Chris, thank you so much, man. Thank you for having such an incredible business in downtown Frederick. Thank you for your love and your passion for where you live. We appreciate, you so much and everything you give back. So thank you so much. And Brian, thank you for, again, sponsoring all this. We appreciate you. And you guys were great. So thanks, Chris. And we'll get this out there. I appreciate you. Anything else you want anyone to know about the business or stopping by?
Just thank you both so much for your kindness and for telling our story to help us tell stories to others. And to everybody out there in Frederick, if you need an escape from a stressful world, Surelocked In Escape Games is right at the corner of Patrick and Market Streets.
Let's
go. See you soon.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thanks so much. We'll see you soon. Bye,
guys.
See you.